You might remember what it felt like to be stuck at home for extended periods during the coronavirus pandemic a few years ago. But imagine if there was no end in sight, and no Netflix, no internet, and strict guards watching your every move. Today I'm talking about house arrest in Tudor times, a fate that many high-profile figures experienced, from queens to courtiers. So what exactly is house arrest? Well, it's still used in some places today, often as an alternative to prison. It means you're confined to your home or another designated place. And in modern times, electronic tags can be used to ensure compliance. But house arrest isn't new. It's been around for centuries. One of the most famous early examples was Eleanor of Aquitaine, who was confined for 15 years after supporting her son's rebellion against Henry II. But today let's focus on some fascinating Tudor cases of house arrest, many of which involved people close to the crown. First up, we have Katherine of Aragon, Henry VIII's first wife. After Henry decided to annul their marriage, she wasn't just removed from court, she was effectively placed under house arrest. She was moved between multiple locations: the Moor in 1531, Hatfield, Elsing, Ampthill, Buckden, and finally Kimbleton, where she died in 1536. Catherine wasn't allowed to leave without Henry's permission, and she was carefully monitored. Worst of all, she was forbidden from seeing her daughter Mary, something that deeply distressed her. Love could be dangerous in the Tudor period, especially if you were of royal blood. Lady Margaret Douglas, Henry VIII's niece, found out the hard way. You might remember I mentioned her in my recent video on Tudor fools. She fell in love twice without the king's permission. Firstly with Lord Thomas Howard, which saw her being thrown into the Tower in 1536 and later moved to house arrest at Sion Abbey due to illness. Then with Sir Charles Howard, another scandal but not quite as serious. Despite her powerful connections, Margaret wasn't immune to Henry's wrath when it came to marriage. Our next victim of house arrest is Elizabeth I. In 1554, 4 years before she became queen, Elizabeth faced a terrifying ordeal. After being implicated in Wyatt's rebellion, she was taken to the Tower of London. Though she was eventually released from the Tower, she wasn't exactly free. She was sent to Woodstock Palace under house arrest, closely watched by Sir Henry Bedingfield, who served as her jailer. She spent nearly a year there, locked away, before finally being recalled to court when Queen Mary I thought she was pregnant, as in Mary thought she herself was pregnant. When no baby arrived, Elizabeth was allowed to return to Hatfield, and we all know how her story turned out. Elizabeth's first cousins once removed, the Grey sisters, also suffered this fate due to secret marriages. Lady Catherine Grey secretly married Edward Seymour, Earl of Hertford. She was sent to the Tower of London and, despite being imprisoned, managed to conceive 2 sons with her husband. When she was released, she was still under house arrest at multiple locations until her death in 1568. Her younger sister, Lady Mary Grey, married Thomas Keyes without the Queen's permission. As punishment, she was placed under house arrest in various households and only freed in 1572 after her husband's death. And being the Queen's favourite didn't mean you were safe. Robert Devereux, Earl of Essex, another Tudor fool I mentioned, learned this the hard way. In 1599, he deserted his post in Ireland and returned to England without the Queen's permission. Worse still, he barged into her bedchamber unannounced, something Elizabeth didn't take kindly to. His punishment? House arrest at York House on the Strand. But of course Essex didn't learn his lesson. In 1601 he led a failed rebellion against Elizabeth and was executed for treason. House arrest might have been the better option in hindsight. And house arrest was used for many others, including Thomas Wriothesley, Earl of Southampton in 1547 and 1550. He was confined due to his opposition to Edward Seymour and then later his Catholic beliefs. Then there's Thomas Darcy, 1st Baron Darcy, who was punished for supporting Lady Jane Grey in 1553 but later pardoned. Miles Coverdale, 1555. After Mary I's accession, the Bible translator was stripped of his bishopric and placed under house arrest. Mary, Queen of Scots. She was held in captivity for 19 years in England before her eventual execution in 1587. William Herbert, 1st Earl of Pembroke, and Henry Fitzalan, 12th Earl of Arundel, who were put under house arrest for a time at Windsor in 1569 for their alleged support for a marriage between the Duke of Norfolk and Mary, Queen of Scots. Sir John Perrot, 1590. This Privy Councillor and Lord Deputy of Ireland was kept under house arrest at Lord Burleigh's house before being sent to the Tower of London after his enemies accused him of treason. He'd been accused of disobeying orders in Ireland and offering to help Philip of Spain conquer England and Ireland. And then there were several bishops in Elizabeth I's reign who were deprived of their offices and kept under house arrest due to their Catholic sympathies. Unlike prison, house arrest could be more comfortable, but it was still a form of control. Some, like Elizabeth, eventually regained power, while others, like Katherine of Aragon or the Grey Sisters, never truly escaped their confinement. What do you think? Was house arrest a merciful punishment or just another way of ruining someone's life? Do let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell for more Tudor history content. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.